Right, okay guys, please like, share and subscribe and hit that little notification bell so you get updates on our new videos. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars The Bad Batch. I was going to do this a few days ago, but I thought I'd wait and see if there was any new news come out about it. And I've got the official StarWars.com page up, as you can see, which we're going to go over, and then I'm going to go over an article done by Inverse, and we'll see what they've got to say as well. So, right, okay, let's delve into this. Right, Star Wars The Bad Batch, an all-new animated series to debut on Disney Plus in 2021. Now, the other reason why I held off doing this was because originally it was going around and there was rumours, but there wasn't actually any official word. Well, now we've got it. So, yeah, we're just going to delve into it then. So today, Disney Plus, and this was on the 13th of July. Today, Disney Plus ordered its next animated series from Lucasfilm, Star Wars The Bad Batch. Fresh off the critically acclaimed series finale of Star Wars The Clone Wars, the Disney Plus original series will premiere on a streaming service in 2021. The series follows the elite and their experimental clones of the Bad Batch, first introduced in The Clone Wars, as they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy in the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars. Members of Bad Batch, a unique squad of clones who vary genetically from their brothers in the Clone Army, each possess a singular exceptional skill which makes them extraordinarily effective soldiers and a formidable crew in the post-Clone War era. They will take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find new purpose. Giving new and existing fans the final chapter of Star Wars The Clone Wars has been our honour at Disney Plus, and we are overjoyed by the global response to this landmark series, said Agnes Chu, Senior Vice President, Content, Disney Plus. While The Clone Wars may have come to its conclusion, our partnership with the groundbreaking storytellers and artists at Lucasfilm Animation is only beginning. We are thrilled to bring Dave Filoni's vision to life through the next adventures of The Bad Batch. Star Wars The Bad Batch is executive produced by Dave Filoni, brackets The Mandalorian and Star Wars The Clone Wars, Athena Portillo, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, Brad Rau, Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Resistance, and Jennifer Corbett, Star Wars Resistance, NCIS, with Carrie Beck, The Mandalorian, Star Wars Rebels, as co-executive producer, and Josh Rhimes as producer, Star Wars Resistance. Rau is also serving as supervising director, with Corbett as head writer. Right, now what I'm going to say about this is I've got a few questions on this, and the question that comes to mind for me is, are they doing this to try and fix Star Wars because the sequel trilogy was so bad? Are they doing this because the Clone Wars was very successful and the only thing at the moment that has been? Or are they doing this just because they want to do it? I've got to be honest, I actually think it's probably because the Clone Wars did very well for them, and so they're thinking, well, let's carry on with this story. Would make sense from a business point of view, because let's be honest, things haven't been going too well for them, have they? So now we're going to go over to Inverse, and this is the Bad Batch series will fix Star Wars canon in three crucial ways. Those pesky clones are attacking all over again. So let's have a read through. Wow, that jumped a bit. Don't want it that far down. Just when you thought the Clone Wars were over, those pesky clones are attacking all over again. Lucasfilm confirmed the next animated Star Wars TV series is a direct spin-off from the final season of the Clone Wars. The Adventures of Clone Force 99, aka The Bad Batch, may date back to 2015, but it looks like the stories of these wayward clones are far from over. That said, the Bad Batch series isn't really part of the Clone Wars because of when the show takes place. The most interesting and exciting things about the Bad Batch isn't the subject matter, but instead the setting. I think I get their train of thought here. Here's 3 reasons the Bad Batch could be a much bigger deal than it seems, and why it could knock down several canon problems that have been plaguing the Star Wars timeline for years. Basically, the Bad Batch is going to become the A-team of Star Wars. They're going to go off the grid and take on weird missions week to week. For those hoping for more information about what was going on with Ahsoka or the surviving Jedi in the aftermath of Order 66, that news might be discouraging, but it shouldn't be. And that's because having a show set right after Order 66 is actually a great way to sew up a bunch of loose Star Wars canon threads, for example. Right, okay. So number 3, explore how the Republic became the Empire. In Revenge of the Sith, when Palpatine raises his arms and says the Republic will be reorganised into the First Galactic Empire, he gets that famous thunderous applause from the Senate. But what does that look like? Specifically, it's tempting to say that clone troopers everywhere just started swooping down on planets and putting them under martial law like right away. But everything we know about Star Wars history tells us that that's not quite right. In A New Hope, Palpatine dissolves the Senate off screen. Tarkin says this means that the regional governors now have direct control, implying those people are Palpatine's puppets anyway. Key point, that happens 19 years after Order 66. That's a long time for the Empire to function as well, not the Empire we know. Sure, 5 years before A New Hope, we see the way the Empire behaves in Rebels, but again, that's still a solid decade after Order 66. Ditto with Solo. Essentially, there are at least 10 years there where we really don't know what the Empire looked like to the public. The jump between Revenge of the Sith and the next few canonical stories is still pretty big. Okay, number 2, more about the crime syndicates. Here's one thing that's pretty weird about all the major eras of the Star Wars universe. The criminal underworld feels pretty consistent. Think about it, the Phantom Menace, Jabba and other Hutts operate criminal businesses out in the open, mostly ignored by the Republic. Qui-Gon even says Tatooine is controlled by the Hutts, which implies he can't do anything about that. Remember when Qui-Gon outright says, "I didn't come here to free slaves." Yeah, what's up with that? During the time of the Peaceful Republic, it seems like there are all sorts of planets outside of the Republic influence that have absolutely terrible criminal organisations running the show. In the classic trilogy, this seems pretty much the same, including stories that take place just before A New Hope, but what happened in between. In the Clone Wars finale, Maul sends leaders of the 3 crime syndicates Black Sun, the Pikes and Crimson Dawn into hiding. By the time of Solo, the Pikes and Crimson Dawn seem to be doing just fine. Again, we're dealing with 10 years in between Order 66 and the start of Solo. So it seems like the criminal element of the galaxy, the scum and villainy, was seemingly afraid right after Palpatine took power. If that's true, then the members of the Bad Batch would be in a unique spot to explore this apparent dichotomy. If these guys are getting mercenary jobs, does that mean they're working with people like Crimson Dawn or not? Essentially, the weirdest revelation here would be the following. Maybe, just maybe, in the decade before Solo, the rise of the Empire accidentally reduced organised crime galaxy-wide. In other words, how do Jabba and Maul get their mobster groves back? And then we get to number 1, Stormtroopers and Clones. Now this is one that I would like to see. This is quite interesting. During the Clone Wars, Palpatine had the clone army. During the time of the Rebellion, Palpatine had Stormtroopers. In the time of the First Order, Kylo Ren, Snoke and Hux also had Stormtroopers. We know for a fact that the First Order Stormtroopers were mostly made up of people who were captured as children. We know the clone army was made up of clones of Jango Fett. But when did the Imperial Army become a mostly volunteer organisation? Arguably, the worst period of time for freedom-loving people was the height of the Empire. So roughly 10 BBY, Solo, to 4 ABY, Return of the Jedi, and during this time we're meant to believe the vast majority of people who fight for the Empire aren't brainwashed child soldiers or clones conditioned to be loyal to the government, but instead regular people. The events of Solo and Han's brief time serving for the Empire basically confirm this. But how did this happen? How did the perception of the Empire become so overwhelmingly positive that they were able to recruit so many soldiers? More to the point, when were the clones phased out and why? Based on how well Order 66 went over, it seems like making more clones would be a good call. Again, the members of the Bad Batch are positioned perfectly to explore all these questions, even during the Clone Wars. The Bad Batch were ostracised from the rest of the Grand Army of the Republic. Presumably none of them had inhibitor chips in their brains either, otherwise it seems unlikely there would be a TV show about them post Order 66. The fact that the Bad Batch are running around independently in the galaxy feels like a microcosm for what must end up happening to the rest of the clones, who still worked for the Empire. And if the Bad Batch series can finally fully explore how the clone army led to stormtroopers, it will make so many more things about the story of Star Wars click into place. The Bad Batch is expected on Disney Plus in 2021. Right, so the thing for me, one of the things he missed out in that part there was that we know that the clones have got rapid aging. So we know that they are going to be phased out quicker than normal people would, because they grow twice as quick or age twice as quick. So in terms of that, I think that part is quite self-explanatory. They probably phased them out because they were getting too old. But again, it would be nice to actually see that in a series of some sort, where we actually see them start to phase them out. So yeah, some of the things he says in this are quite interesting. I mean, crime syndicates, yeah, I mean, we haven't really had we have bits about crime syndicates, but we haven't had anything that's really delved into it like on a massive scale, which would be nice. It'd be nice to find out a bit more about them, so that would be good. Yeah, how the Republic became the Empire. I mean, like he says at the start there, we know it became the Galactic Empire in Revenge of the Sith. And we know by A New Hope, obviously, the Senate was still a thing. But it would be interesting to see how them years when the Senate still had control. Because obviously in A New Hope they get phased out in favour of regional governors, so more like a dictatorship. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it was working when the Senate was still there, because they must have agreed with a lot of what he was doing. I imagine when he phased them out, it was getting to the point where they didn't agree with what he was doing, so that would be the reason why he did that. So yeah, well, the last series of Clone Wars was good. I wasn't massively keen on the episodes with the sisters in. I found them a little bit boring, a bit like filler. But the Bad Batch episodes and the Siege of Mandalore were good. So, yeah, I think this is a good direction to go in, if I'm honest. I'm hoping they keep the animation style the same. I would have thought they would do. That's the one that most people like, so they'd be crazy to change it. I just hope we don't end up with something like Resistance, because I wasn't a fan of that. I didn't like the animation. The story was pretty boring, actually, to be honest. In fact, me and my boy haven't even finished it, so we just wasn't really that interested. It just seemed like a lot of filler, really. Nothing really had any major scale to the rest of what's going on in the universe at the time, so it just didn't seem, there wasn't any point in watching it as far as I was concerned. So yeah, well, at least we've had some Star Wars news. I mean, this is probably the first thing that we've really had in a while. We've had little bits come out, but this is the first thing that's fairly big that we know is happening now. So yeah, so at least we know we've got some sort of continuation from the Clone Wars, and I think that's a good thing. So like I say, we can question what Disney's motives are here. I mean, are they doing this to try and fix Star Wars and get some of the fans back, or are they doing this because Clone Wars did well, made them money, so they're doing it because of the money? Yeah, it's debatable, isn't it? So I guess we won't ever know that, to be honest. They're never going to outright tell us, but actions speak louder than words, so let's just wait and see what happens with it. Hopefully Kathleen Kennedy won't have any influence on it. I mean, her contract comes up next year, so, and they haven't said when this is releasing, so I'm hoping it comes out and she has no influence. or it comes out after she's gone. I don't know, we'll see. So anyway, I'm going to leave that there, guys. Anyway, I've had my say, and hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, guys. Nerdy Geezer out.